Welcome to another exciting edition of Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paperboy, and this is going to be a little different than what I anticipated. I originally had it figured out in my head what I was going to do, and I'm still going to do that portion of it, but there's been a bit of a change. The portion I was going to do was going to be talking about how wonderful it is to be selling on eBay. And by that, I mean because of a sale I made the other day. It wasn't a big sale. It was $15 plus shipping. No big deal. But it was a French language cycling magazine, bicycles, from 1904 or thereabouts. And it went for $15 and I got shipping out of it. But here's the crazy thing. I picked it up from somebody that wholesales magazines out to me. They live in California. I have figured out that what they do is they scour eBay for lots of magazines and buy them when they're cheap, and then they assemble them together and resell them to me. Works out well for them because they make some money for their time and trouble. Works out well for me because I don't have to scour eBay. Wonderful for everything, for everybody involved. So basically what they did, I'm sure, and I don't know where they got the collection from, but they found somebody in Illinois, let's say, and they live in California. And they purchased it. They then moved it to me up in upstate New York. I listed it and I sold it. And mind you, this is an early 1900s French language bicycling magazine. The person who purchased it from me was from Japan. Now, talk about one world, talk about a small world. It's just kind of amazing. And you go back even 30 years ago, that gentleman in Japan never would have had that magazine. It would have just been sitting in Illinois, maybe at an antique mall, maybe would have wound up in the garbage, who knows. It just would have ended up somewhere. Certainly would not have found its way to California, would not have found its way up to upstate New York. It would not have found its way over to Japan. So that's just a wonderful story, and I was going to do this feel-good story about that, and now you know the story. But what just happened is they just put me into managed payments. Now, they were supposed to be putting me into it tonight, and of course, being eBay, they put me in it in the middle of the day, which again is not when they said they would do it. But then again, I was supposed to be in it beginning of August, so I guess I got 3 months worth of not being in it. And I've got some issues already with being in it. Primarily, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how the accounting is going to come out. And to me, that's a really, really important aspect of it because I don't want to fall behind on my taxes. If anyone from eBay is watching this, send an email out to people when things get sold. How about that as step number one? I'm so used to getting the PayPal email and I'll say, oh, okay, something sold. Or let's say that I'm over with friends or something like that and I got a lot of emails, a lot of things to pack up. I'll be like, oh, I kind of got to get going. I've got a lot of stuff to do because I know that I do. Or when I'm away on vacation, let's say, I can steel myself for the return saying, well, I can count them up. Oh, I got 27 items I have to pack up on eBay and 17 on Amazon. Okay, I kind of know how to schedule. Well, I got paid for something and got no email about it. The only way that I knew that it sold was I happened to look at my items awaiting shipment. So it's not that difficult to send an email out. Now, perhaps they will send an email out. Perhaps I just jumped into my items awaiting shipment prior to an email, and hopefully they do have a mechanism to alert me that something sold. I'm just thinking there are casual sellers out there now. I happen to be on eBay regularly, so I can check that off, often. But you got casual sellers who do not check all the time. They need some sort of a prod to say, hey, you've got something or other to ship out, because they may not log into eBay for once a week. So they probably need to know that. The other side of it is where I think that there's a flaw in the program, which hopefully at some point they address, and I think it's going to hurt everybody sales-wise, is the beauty of PayPal is that money could stay in the PayPal account, and it was just there. And you could purchase things out of it. And it never, although it's real money because it's your money, it's not real money because it didn't hit your account. It didn't hit your bank account. You weren't paying bills with it. It was just kind of sitting there. So, you made $100 sale and you could say, hey, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to buy something for $25. And it came out of the PayPal money and you just never really noticed it. Let us spend the money that's sitting in awaiting disbursement. I don't know why they don't let you do it, and that's a flaw with Amazon as well, is that they don't let you do it. But if they allowed you to spend your accumulated awaiting disbursement money, I think that would help considerably. And I don't, I know it's not a programming issue. The only thing that I can possibly think about is if they allow you to do that, they might be subject to some other regulations. Otherwise, it seems like a no-brainer that you would just allow me, hey, I've sold $500 worth of stuff in the last week. The money's sitting there. Allow me to go and spend it. Why make me pull it off into my bank account, then move it into PayPal, and then pay for an item, or move it into my bank account and then pull it out of my bank account? It's just a lot of extra steps. A lot of things could go wrong, and I think there are some people out there. Maybe they made a sale, and if it hits the bank account, their spouse knows about it, and if they keep it out of the bank account, they could buy something for themselves and nobody ever knows. It's one thing to spend $50 out of your PayPal account, and you could tell your spouse, oh, I paid 25 bucks for it, it's a really good deal. When she goes or he goes and looks at the bank account statement, says, wait a minute, $50 came out, what happened? It makes things a little more difficult that way. So allow us to spend money out of our accumulations. That would be step number one, I would say. But number two, for 20 years, every time I get paid, I jot it down. I jot down what my fees are. End of the week, I compile it. I keep my bookkeeping that way. Any moment in time, you could contact me and say, hey, how much money have you made this year? How much money was your expenses for postage? How much money was your expenses for this or that? And I've kept track of it, and I've got it sitting right there. It takes me no time at all to do taxes, because I basically spend 15 to 20 minutes every single week on keeping track of it, along with keeping track of it along the way, daily, about various sales, et cetera, et cetera. Now all of a sudden I don't know what I'm going to do, because I don't know what the reports look like. I've got some time to figure it out, obviously, before the end of the year, but I don't want to pay any more in taxes or any less in taxes than I should. But if I don't know what the reports look like, now I did screw around after one sale through the system, and I've kind of found a report that I think will work. I just have to download it every single week, I believe, and it looks like it's some kind of an Excel file, so I should be able to manipulate it, even though I don't pay for Excel. Hopefully I'll be able to do sum and all that kind of thing on there. Otherwise, it's just a lot of extra work for me. And I always like doing it the way that I did it, because I kind of knew how the numbers worked out. Well, now I'm going into this and not knowing exactly how the numbers work out. So I'm going to definitely this Sunday set aside some time to play around with the reports till I finally can find what I'm looking for. At least 10 months worth of my numbers are completely accurate, and then I've got a little bit of time to figure out how to make the last 2 months accurate to fit into my accounting the way that I do things. Nobody likes change, generally speaking, and I was quite happy with the way things were. So obviously I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm not a big fan of not getting the email. I'm not a big fan of not being able to spend the money out of my accumulations. And there's probably a few settings in there that I'm not aware of that I probably need to change around. There is a spot in there where you can change how you pay for your postage, and that they do let you pay for out of your accumulation, as opposed to taking it out of the PayPal. So I did click on that. There is a spot in there where you can change your payouts, but you have two choices. You have daily or weekly. Now I chose the weekly. I find that would work better for me. So every Tuesday I'm going to get a disbursement. I would rather change that to every Sunday, which I realize banks are closed on Sundays. But because that's when I do my accounting, I would rather have it that way. Now I guess I could change my accounting to a Tuesday to Tuesday. But I've been doing it on Sundays for 20 years. I don't have any problem at all setting aside a little bit of time Sundays to do the accounting. So I'm less than happy about the change. I knew it was coming. And maybe I'm just finding reasons to complain about it, but it's a lot of getting used to. And again, I don't know if they are going to send emails or not. I would hope that they would. There are some people that do prefer being notified via email. Hey, I've sold this. Or even when you are on vacation or you are away from home, taking a look at it and saying, oh, what were my sales? Or what did I sell? Because whatever reason, I do not log into eBay on the phone. I try not to do that, or as little as possible. I log into eBay on the phone. I'm not a fan of the app. I'm old school. I like the desktop. I'm not going to change all of that and be playing around on the phone trying to figure out what I sold. And my other fear, of course, is it's easy to lose a phone, and I've got all my logins. If I had all my logins on there, I lose my phone, somebody's into my account and draining money out of it, or putting up fake things for sale or whatever. So I'm not a fan of the phone, and I guess that's where you see what an old timer I am, because I'd much prefer it. I mean, I've even got passwords and all that on my home computer just in case it gets stolen. Probably need to move to a better neighborhood, I guess, if that's my main concern. But always better to be safe. Even on PayPal, I had the third factor authentication or whatever it is, where I got sent the text before I can log in. I've got that on Amazon. Before I can log in, text comes to my phone, etc., etc. I'm a little worried about security. I'm a little worried about having accounts drained. So I'm not one of these people that's going to jump in and use the phone. So if there is a mechanism to get email notification and I just don't have it turned on, if you can note that down below in the comment section, I'd really appreciate it, because that's my biggest gripe so far, is things are selling and I don't know when they're selling. The other gripe that I have, which most of you probably do not have, I was selling through Web Interpret across multiple eBay sites. Well, at this point, only 2 eBay sites are compatible with Web Interpret. So I've been getting email after email after email with thousands of items being ended, because I've got, 10,000 items on the Hong Kong site, 10,000 items on the Singapore site, 10,000 items on the French site, etc., etc. Well, those are all being ended because they're not in the managed payments. Managed payments is not with Web Interpret for most areas. Now, at this point, they've told me that they're live in 2 areas. I believe England, and I do not recall what the other one is, Germany maybe. So those will, I believe, stay active or will be reactivated at some point. But as to the others, I lost lots and lots of sales. And not that it was a huge income to me, but I was probably doing a few $100s a month worth of sales overseas on the various sites. So now that's all taken away from me as well, let alone the few stock certificates and a few other things like that I have. Those all got ended as well, I am certain. So not real happy. So if you want happy, watch the first 2 minutes of this video. If you want kvetching, listen to the rest. Hopefully next time I come on, I'll have figured out a bunch and give you some tips on it. But my first impressions are less than positive. See you next video.